2, 1. Week. This is so fun to be able to connect with you, sir. All the way in, where are you now? Russia?
I am in Moscow at the moment, on my way to Los Angeles in about 12 hours.
Dan Brulé, how are you, brother?
Well, if I was doing any better, I'd have to be twins. I think I'm always leaning on the edge of my ability to integrate ecstasy. So I like pushing the limits of pleasure and pushing the limits of awareness and potential and relaxation and breathing. You know, what's possible and what's the maximum potential, and you know, what's waiting for us in this something very simple, very basic, right under our nose, literally. But hey, I think the breath is a key. Breath is a key to all of the great abilities, the extraordinary abilities and the high states that the great masters and warriors and mystics and saints and gurus and yogis achieved. My feeling is that the average person can achieve all those same high states and attain to those same abilities just through breathing.
And is that, when did you, I guess, get really interested in it, like in the breath itself? I know you as the breath guy. Like, Just Breathe being your book is how I found out about you. Big ups to Benny Ferguson for putting me onto that. But you know, just to share with the people, yeah, how did you really, or when did you start really getting deep into the breath?
Oh heck, I mean, you know, kindergarten and Catholic school and listening to the priest talk about forming the body of man from the dust of the earth and breathing into the nostrils of man, the breath of life. Wow, man, as a 5-year-old kid, that was the most exciting thing I'd ever heard of. I couldn't imagine why everybody wasn't jumping up and down like, oh my God, God's breathing into us? Like, what? And so, like, you know, a little kid, bright imagination, someone planted a seed, and it's been an obsession. You know, I was the kid in the schoolyard organizing breath holding competitions, and every job I've ever had has been linked to breathing in one way or another.
Can you give us some examples of it? Give us some examples of what kind of jobs have been related to breathing in one way or another.
Well, my first job was as an X-ray technician right out of high school, you know, 18 years old. I wanted to be a doctor, but I was too damn lazy. I couldn't imagine. I was so glad just to get out of 4 years of high school. I couldn't imagine 4 years of college and then 4 years of medical school and then 4 more years. Like, But I was, you know, there was a healer in me, and X-ray technician seemed like a great compromise. As a 2-year program, I got to work with patients, and so that was my way in. And one of the easiest X-rays to take is a chest X-ray. And so as a student, I was getting all the chest X-rays. And when you take a chest X-ray, you tell people, take in a deep breath, hold it, and click, you take their picture. So after I'd given those same instructions to, you know, 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, it became so obvious to me that everybody did something different. You tell somebody to tell 100 people to take in a deep breath and hold it, and you're going to see 100 different manifestations of something. What muscles they use, the expression on their face, what they think a full breath is, what is their experience of the breath, their relationship to their body, how much muscles do they use. You know, it was like the breath just started speaking to me. And then there was my main thing. It was like I could see that as I got to know some of the patients, their relationship to their breath was a reflection of their relationship to life, to their body, to themselves. And so it was like, wow, the breath is a language. And you can tell a lot about a person from their facial expression, their posture, their tone of voice. But the breathing is this pure expression of exactly in each moment what state we're in. So I was just fascinated. And then I learned CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And it wasn't probably 2 weeks from when I took the training to when I used it for the first time. And that was just a miraculous experience. You come upon somebody who's literally dead, clinically dead. You blow into them and they blink and wake up. I mean, who doesn't want to do this kind of work, you know?
Did you feel like the guy that you were being told about in school at that point when you literally breathed life into somebody?
I got up every day just hoping that somebody else would have a heart attack so I could rescue them. And, you know, when you love what you do, the universe gives you lots of opportunities. You know, I'd be on a plane, somebody have a heart attack. I'm on the beach, someone would drown. I'm in a restaurant, someone chokes on food. It was like I started to think, maybe I'm bad luck. Maybe stay away from me. But, hey, you know, I ended up training thousands of CPR instructors and first aid instructors and paramedics. You know, I think rescue, I've always been, my job in the military was medical rescue and underwater, deep sea diving. And so my whole life has been around healing and rescuing, but moving up the ladder a bit, let's say, rescuing ourselves from our own limitations, you know, rescuing ourselves from our own negative perceptions and inherited beliefs. I mean, you know, for the first few years of our life, we're basically in a hypnotic trance, and we're given programs that limit who we are. I mean, everything is downloaded directly into our subconscious. We have no discriminating consciousness, no cognitive functions for the first couple of years of life. Right. And so during those first couple of formative years, we receive programs that limit who we are. And my passion has always been, well, who would we be if we hadn't received those programs, and what would be possible for us? And the breath, it turns out, is just a beautiful way to burn away those programs, those early traumas, the suppressed emotions, the negative impressions we formed about ourselves and life in those early years when we were helpless. And you know, those feelings of helplessness.
Can you give us an example of what that might look like? Because I'm just imagining somebody listening to this right now being like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds great. How do I do that? You know, so like, give us an example of what that might look like or how that might work.
Hey, listen, when we're infants, we can't even turn over by ourselves. If we're on our stomach, we're stuck there until somebody turns us over. So deep in our psyche, our earliest memories are around helplessness and hopelessness. And, you know, people are 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, they're still walking around with those same deep feelings of helplessness. And the breath, we use the breath to bring that stuff up and purge it from our system. So that's one of the uses of breathing. And it's, you know, it's sort of the breath as a thread. And if we follow it, it takes us back to the source of our own life in us, you know. And when they cut our umbilical cord, we became responsible for breathing. You know, up till then, everything we needed came through the umbilical cord. Once that's cut, the breath became the major way of receiving energy. But hey, when we got slapped at birth or shaken or whatever, you know, most people didn't have a chance to relax into breathing, to really play with it, to get to see what they could do with it. It was breathe or die, you know, it was like survival. And so my work has been about, let's go back to the beginning. Let's explore the breath as if for the first time. Let's begin to play with it. Let's find out where the limitations are. And in the process of opening up our breath, of liberating our breath, we liberate our spirit. We open up psychologically, emotionally. And so the healing and transformation is quite profound. And it's very often quite stunning and shocking even to people how much energy we can access through the breath. It's almost frightening for some people. And so we need to get comfortable with our own power. We need to get comfortable with infinite energy. We need to be able to contain something like divine energy, creative energy, healing energy. And the breath is the link to those energies. And it only takes a few minutes of practicing before you start to see just how much energy is available in the breath.
Yeah.
So that's my game. That's my job. Make people more conscious of their breathing, and help them discover how, by changing the way they breathe, they change the way they think, they change the way they feel, they change the way they behave, they change their chemistry, they transform their subconscious mind. It's just, hey, breath is the Swiss Army knife of life. And give me one thing that the breath can't help us with. I haven't found anything yet. That breathing better doesn't help. So I haven't moved on to anything. I'm still just pounding on the basics of life, because the basics always turn out to be the most powerful things.
The fundamentals, the simple, the more powerful usually. I think like that in everything, like in music especially, like you know, like the most powerful sounds, the most basic, like, you know, the analog sound is like the one that hits you the most. It's really simple, just one waveform that just powerfully comes out of the speaker. You're like, ooh, I felt that. It's not this digitally remastered thing. It's the most basic, strip it down to the raw.
Yeah, and because, you know, everywhere I go, I attract spiritual people. I'm a spiritual person. I don't know the difference between being spiritual and being conscious, or being creative and being spiritual. Like, maybe it's all the same. But because of the people that I encounter everywhere in the world, and now 65 countries in 40 years, and I mean, I had 150,000 people I can't even count anymore. But one thing that I've realized is that, you know, everybody's talking about energy. There's this interest in energy, but it's more intellectual and philosophical. And so breathing gives people a biological experience, a cellular experience, a felt unarguable experience of our electric body, of our energy body. And when you can begin to breathe energy and not just air, that starts to solve a whole lot of problems. So that would be where I get everybody in a practical way to begin. We have to become more conscious of our breathing. We have to become more aware of subtle feelings and sensations in the breath. That means developing something like meditative awareness. It means using the breath as a mindfulness practice, using the breath as a way to come into the present moment, to get out of our head and get into our heart. It's no accident that the lungs are wrapped around the heart. When you breathe, you're playing with your heart space. And so when you breathe, you're awakening heart intelligence. Right. And if you add that to mind intelligence, you're inspired. Your thinking is inspired. And breathing also puts us into our body. So breathing awakens body intelligence. And when you have body intelligence and heart intelligence and mind intelligence all working, hey, you're showing up 100%. And don't be surprised if certain problems disappear or they become very easy to solve. And don't be surprised if you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing without planning. You're guided by your own spirit. You're guided by the flow of life in you. And that's better than being guided by programs and conditioning or fears or somebody else's rules, or, you know, go down the list: programs, conditioning, religious, cultural, taboos. I mean, the things that are holding everybody back and down. Oh man, if we could just take a few breaths and lift all that stuff off us and look around and see the miracle world we live in, things would clean up pretty quick, you know. So
I believe I 100% agree with all of that. Even just talking about it, I love in your book, Just Breathe. I love I think it's at the end of the chapter, or I think it just might be randomly, but I'm pretty sure it's like at the end of chapters, it's like breathe now. You have the breathe now exercises, and it's like breathe now. Is that just randomly through, or is it quite at the end of the chapters?
Yeah, we got them at each section after each little lesson.
Sections, but I love that even us talking about it.
Yeah,
like even
because nothing replaces. You know, concepts get you nowhere. Training gets you everywhere. And so, you know, breathing is like riding a bicycle or swimming. You can read everything you want about it, but at some point you got to jump in the water It's the only way to learn how to swim. You got to get on the bike and fall a few times until you get your balance. And so breathing is a practice, and then there's no way around the practice. So
I love that too. I love that, the fact that it's so practical as well. On Instagram, you can have the most, you know, inspirational quotes. On every time I write a caption on Instagram, there's an action attached to it. It's like, do the thing. You know, like, here's how you implement. Here's an integration, a flow action that will help put you in flow. So I totally agree with that. For somebody who's listening right now, like, I'm imagining that us talking about it is bringing them into their breath. It's bringing them into, oh, maybe how am I breathing? Where am I breathing? What are the sensations I'm feeling?
exactly. And that's meditative awareness. You just sit, don't have to breathe in any special way. You allow the breath to come and go, and you become the witness of it. You become the observer. You become very intimate with the subtle sensations and feelings and movements, and you're just being with the breath, not doing anything. That first step, just developing more meditative awareness, becoming more sensitive to subtle feelings and sensations in the breathing, you're developing a conscious relationship with this powerful force, life force. And so that's the first step. And maybe some people don't need to do anything more than that. Just spend some time every day, not thinking, not doing anything, just being present and allowing the breath to come and go, and just being in the moment, experiencing moment to moment the sensations of the inhale, the sensations of the exhale, and you're moving into a certain state. The more conscious you become of your breathing, the more conscious you become of everything. The more aware you become of your breath, the more aware you become of your posture, your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, the situations around you. And so breath awareness leads to self-awareness, and it leads to situational awareness, and it leads to awareness of very subtle abilities, you could say. You know, it's like if 100 people are talking in a room, one more person starts talking, who notices? But if there's total silence, and I think that using the breath to create this stillness and silence in us, so something can be heard, can be felt, can be seen. We gotta quiet everything down to be able to connect with some really subtle, important stuff. And then you can ramp up the power of the breath to make yourself, you know, ferocious. You have so much energy you can kick down a wall, you know. And so how do we connect with this energy that allows us to be more creative, allows us to heal and recover, and allows us to break through or destroy or overcome whatever is holding us back and whatever has the potential of harming us. So we have to be warriors in some respect, but we have to be heart-centered warriors, and if we're fighting, we better be fighting for the right cause. We better be part of this spiritual army, you know, a divine right, good force, you know, and breathing takes people to that. As you become more open to the breath, your heart opens. As you become more open to your breath, your body gets more sensitive. Your intuition is better. You connect more deeply to other people. And so it's the tool of our day. It's the new yoga. It's meditation for people who can't meditate. And so you just got to get your foot in the door, start practicing anything. I've never met a breathing exercise I don't like. And if you stay open and you keep practicing different things, you're going to stumble over some really amazing abilities. You know, when there's a great principle in the Navy SEALs that when you think you're out of energy, when you can't take another step, when you've got no juice left, the principle is you still have 40% of your battery full. You just haven't learned how to tap that reserve. And breathing is the way that we tap this energy. And of course, positive psychology, you got to, like Wim Hof, my friend, the Iceman says, man, you got to believe you can do this shit. You know, so you got to be willing to like step up and dare to begin to develop certain abilities. And so if you're interested in maximum potential or optimum health or peak performance, and you're not using the breath, holy cow, you got a gold mine you haven't tapped, and maybe it's about time you see the power, the potential of it. So I'm a missionary for the breath. It's basically my life.
What's exciting you at the moment? Like, is there new discoveries around breath? Is there some some science, some neuroscience, some physiological science, physics around breath that like new learnings or new cutting edge kind of technology that's coming out? Or is it more so like that more people are talking about it? What's exciting you at the moment around the breath?
No, I mean, I think people are waking up to the breath. It's the tool of our day. And we're all connected through the breath. And so the breath, we're all sucking off the same bubble of air on this planet. And the breath that's in me is going to be in you. You know, give it some time, and those molecules are going to float around the world, and somebody's going to be breathing them in. So we're literally connected by the breath. And feeling that connection, I think, is really important, because if I feel my connection to you, how can I possibly get away with violence? How can I generate hate? I'm poisoning myself. Right. So I think using the breath to awaken this connection, human connection, is a solution to a lot of problems. And people who breathe together, and maybe this is one of the things I'm excited about, people who breathe together, who literally synchronize their breathing, they develop a connection that's extraordinary. That's a little scary. It's a little spooky. You know, you get a team of 6 special forces or whoever, and you lock arms, and for 5 minutes you breathe the exact same breathing pattern. And then when you split apart, you see something, and I have an urge to look that way. We have this intuitive, energetic connection. It's quite beautiful. And it creates what I'm getting to is what maybe you call a flow state, but a group flow. We've got the individual flow state down, yeah. But now the next level is group flow. How do people work together? Because we is smarter than me. And the original word conspiracy, it's a bad word to conspire, you know, with the Russians or whatever. It means breathe together. And conspiracies developed a bad rap because of the power that arises in groups when they breathe together and they threaten existing authorities.
Well, we could reframe the
conspiracy has a bad rap.
We could reframe the conspiracy to conscious inspiration, respiration.
By all means, let's conspire. By all means, at every opportunity, let's breathe together.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I breathe with my children. Like we breathe together, we do eye gazing and stuff. So, and we breathe together that way. But I actually had this download whilst I was just doing some Qigong, and I was just like, all right, what wants to come through now? I want to think really big, and what wants to come through? And it was this idea of this festival. I run a festival called Breath Fest. All about the breath. Get all the world's practitioners who are into breathing, anything that has to do with breath. And it's really breathwork based. But it came through as like an acronym. So like the B is breath, R is like regeneration for the world, because we get the air and the oxygen from the trees themselves. E was like environmentalism and energy. The A is anything alchemy, so anything alchemy based. The T is transformational work and transpersonal work, so actually working with people. And then the H is like, anything health, anything to do with health. So it was like, bring that all together, all the people who are into breath, and everything linking it is the breath itself. So it has something to do with the breath. But at the end, like I was visioning this whole thing coming down, or I don't know if I was visioning it or it was being broadcast to me. But at the end of the festival, everyone stops, and it's like a big, we are joined together, and we have a synchronized breathing. At the end of the festival, we all sync, and then at the end, we all sync, and either like fireworks go off or something goes off, where it's like, we're celebrating that connection. So it's really fascinating that you mentioned that's what's exciting you at the moment as well. So I would love you to be there if I end up making that happen. If that sounds like something that you would vibe on, yeah, I'd love you to be there.
We're actually organizing something called the Cabo Breath Fest in Los Cabos, February 2020.
There you go.
So we're hoping they're going to be, we're going to make Los Cabos the place to be in February if you're into breathing in any way. And so, yeah, I'd love if Breath Fest started to pop up all over the world, and it would be an ideal movement, I think. And it's already happening
over there. What's the Breath Fest in February in Cabo all about?
Yeah, well, exactly that. Lovers of the breath, enthusiasts, researchers, practitioners, teachers, students. Breathing is a good excuse for people to come together. And once they're together, you'd be surprised what else they can work on. Some of the problems facing the world, some of the solutions can be identified, and people can cooperate for environmental work, for you name it. Breathing is an excuse to come together, and then once we're together and we find out who we are and what we're into, we find out that we can cooperate in lots of ways. So so that's the idea. And also the latest research and the world leaders in breathing, a chance for them to come together, present the greatest, latest breakthroughs, current best practices.
Where can we find that? Is that on your website, or is that?
I'm going to announce it somewhere between June 22nd and 29th, which is the Global Inspiration Conference in Joshua Tree in California, which is totally sold out, by the way. 250 people. They can't even take any more. We filled the place.
Can we somehow, can we put me on the list for if someone drops off?
Yeah, well, we're doing live stream from there. And if you Google the International Breathwork Foundation Global Inspiration Conference in Joshua Tree, you can plug into the community for sure. And a lot's going to come in. This is like the 25th year, I think. We've done this. Wonderful. And it's in a different country every year. So it's very cool. And it started out as just a festival, and it's turned into the International Breathwork Foundation. Amazing. And what's called the Global Inspiration Conference. So
obviously you have Just Breathe. If anybody asks me about breath, I direct them to Just Breathe. But for you, what would be your resources? Where would you point people other than that?
Oh, heck. God, depending on when I do breath work, and it came from my Qigong practice. I was in Beijing in '85 when I decided to actually go there and learn directly.
That's the year I was born.
Yeah. I got someone put a book in my hand in 1982, a Qigong book by a master Hu Bin, and I devoured that book. And 3 years later, I was in Beijing kissing his feet. So the idea I got from Qigong is, there were 3 questions. What is your degree of health? That determines which Qigong practices you do. What's your level of skill? That determines where do you start and where do you go. And the third is, what's your purpose in practicing? So breath work for me fits that perfectly. Someone comes to me for breath work, those questions are percolating in my mind. What's this person's level of health? What's their degree of skill? Do they meditate? Do they do martial arts? Do they do yoga? What do they got going for them already? And then what do they want to accomplish? You want to, get rid of headaches? No problem. Get rid of asthma? Yeah, easy. You want to see God? Let's go for it. So,
do you have anyone these whether it's diabetes or cancers or AIDS or any of these kind of terminal illnesses that have been helped through the breath?
In 40 years, I've seen all of those, and I can add to the list. And so my feeling is anything that any one human can do, any human can do. You just have to find out what came together in them and what forces around them and what forces within them were mustered up and combined to result in that miracle, that healing. But whatever one person can do, anybody can do. And the breath is always a part of that, because breathing involves expanding your awareness, becoming more sensitive. Breathing involves relaxing and letting go. And sometimes that's all we need to do to heal something, is just let it go. If we could just relax it would flow out of us. But because we're tight and we're constricted and we have tight thoughts, you know, crap is locked inside of us. If you soften your thoughts and soften your emotions and open your heart and relax your body and breathe, the breathing just cleans everything out of the body. If the body is relaxed while you breathe, then you're gonna release stuff. If you're tense in breathing, some things are gonna happen, but the combination of awareness, relaxation, and breathing, that for me, that's the formula for transformation.
That's like everything that Qigong, you say those things, I'm like, that's exactly the concept a lot of the time in a lot of the Qigong practices.
Yeah, regulate body, regulate mind, regulate qi, regulate breath. They're fundamental principles, and they pop up everywhere. And once you identify those fundamental principles and you begin to master them, then you combine them in ways that you're able to accomplish some really extraordinary things.
And you did mention you were excited about that group flow. That's super exciting as well. I remember, are you familiar with the guy, Mumford? I think it's George Mumford. He worked with Chicago Bulls, I think it was, with Phil Jackson.
Rings a bell.
Kind of mindfulness to them. And he, rather than Phil Jackson giving the speech before they go out, you know, that pep talk and get excited, he just had everyone be quiet, listen to music, no one talk anything, and just kind of be present and be mindful. And you know, and that's when he started seeing them. You know, you pass the ball, you not even know where the guy is, but he'll be there. You know, and the same thing happened with an Australian footy team out here, the Collingwood Football Club. I think it was 2011. Same deal. You know, one of their coaches was like, all right, let's do this thing differently. Let's all just breathe together, 20 minutes of stillness and quiet before the game. I think they lost maybe one game that year, and they won the championship. So that's that kind of group flow. And similar deal, like you hit the ball and just somebody will be there. It's that kind of that group mind starts happening. It's super exciting. I'm excited for that because I love sports and I love that kind of teamwork.
That co-meditation idea, that, you know, people just all coming into the present moment together, that's, for me, that's the first piece. And the next piece is to somehow relax something, you know, relax energetically. So some structures open and soften, the psyche opens, something in the subconscious releases, opens. And then the breathing, synchronized breathing, that brings it really all together for me.
Have you witnessed this or experienced much of this in like workplaces or in schools, or like, you know, like this is something that I often do when I'm doing facilitation or a workshop with groups in like in an organization. I'll just stop everyone, get them standing up and you know, doing a guided breath, and even recommending they do that even just for a little bit throughout the day or at the start of the day, and that just having, you know, the problems, the issues, the bickering kind of just falls away, and just like the understanding and the compassion, the empathy starts rising.
In a way, it's like a trick, because when you're focusing on your breathing, you're not doing what you usually would do in that moment. And so it creates a space for a new possibility. I mean, so much of us is just run by habits and automatic, you know, behaviors. And so when you come into the present moment, you're conscious, then, hey, you're establishing a new habit. And that habit has some real benefits, I'll tell you. And look, what does every athlete do before they shoot or kick? They focus, they come into the moment, they take a breath, and then they perform. Well, every moment in life is just as important as a goddamn goal or a basket. And so we should be preparing for every single moment with that kind of focus, with that kind of determination, with that kind of one-pointedness. And so let's bring that into our everyday life. Conversation with your children, you know, you got a presentation at work, you know, let's take these principles that high performers and people who work in life and death, high stakes situations, apply those same practices and principles to everyday life. And wow, that's a piece of cake, you know, compared to if something works in the battlefield, it's going to work in the boardroom, it's going to work in the school classroom, it's going to work in the bedroom, it's going to work everywhere. and without all of the danger and risk and stress. It's like you can have your cake and eat it too, you know. Breathing gives us access to some really beautiful states that it used to be only the great warriors and saints. But, you know, like I'm repeating myself, but damn it, we're all meant to like achieve these same states and awaken to these same abilities. And if you have that intention, then the breath will do it for you. If you're not ready, if you're not willing, it doesn't matter what you learn, what you read, what you practice. If you're not ready, it ain't going to happen. But if you're ready, the next book, the next teacher, the next technique, it's going to work because you're showing up, you're ready. So maybe it's this idea of totality. You know, where that's rare that people are totally engaged, totally invested. You know, some of my energy goes here, some of it goes there, some of it I put out, some of it I hold back. Well, hell, you can't create anything with that kind of approach. You've got to be total. Your whole body, mind, spirit, your heart, everything has to be poured into it. And if you can't do that with breathing, you can't do that with anybody else. Don't fool yourself. You know, and it's like, I'd like to get rid of pain. I'd like to learn how to let go of a disease. Well, learn how to let go of your breath. If you haven't learned how to let go of your breath, don't be surprised if you can't let go of pain or fear or anxiety or thoughts going around your head. So, and if you need extra energy, you could drink coffee or Red Bull or any of that crap, but you can also generate genuine energy. And not just adrenalized energy, but genuine energy. And that's to generate genuine energy requires a certain consciousness, a certain focus. It requires a certain level of relaxation, and it requires breath control. So those are the three things that we teach. And so that first, I gave you the first
things again. Say the three things again: breath control, awareness,
consciousness, right? Awareness, relaxation, the ability to let go, and breathing, breath control, the ability to generate energy with your breath. If you learn those three skills with breathing, wow, you're already so far down the path. Your intuition will guide you. You'll create your own breathing practices, like Wim Hof has done, like Stig Severinsen, like Mark Divine, Navy SEALs, you know, extreme athletes. They found their own kind of combination of focus, relaxation, and breathing to produce the benefits and the results they do. That's up to each of us to find it. So as my friend Stig Severinsen says, you know, so the first thing is awareness, is the consciousness factor. We need to wake up. We need to wake up to who we really are, what's possible, you know, and then who and how do we want to be? What's our maximum potential? Let's wake up to our higher self. The second part is relaxation. And as Stig says, you know, there are levels of relaxation. It's not just a matter of being relaxed or not relaxed. How quickly can you relax? How deeply can you relax? How totally can you relax? And in the middle of what situations can you relax? I mean, hell, anybody can relax when there's $1 million in the bank and all the kids are healthy and everything's right with the world and you're in your favorite place with your favorite person doing your favorite thing. Well, hell, anybody can relax then, but can you relax when the shit hits the fan? Can you relax when you're in pain? Can you relax when you've been hijacked by some anger or fear? That's when relaxation is important. So breathing takes us into those deeper levels of relaxation that open us to extraordinary reserves of energy, you could say. And so on the third, so that's relaxation, that's the second piece. And the message is let go, the skill, the energetic ability to let go. And that might mean letting go of an opinion. It might mean letting go of a resentment. It might mean letting go of a point of view. It might mean letting go of your jaw, letting go of tension in your shoulders. You know, but the letting go is that principle. And the third principle is just breath control. A healthy person should be able to breathe quickly, like a happy dog, right? And you should be able to do that for as long as you want. It should be sheer pleasure. Breathing very quickly and breathing very slowly. A healthy person should be able to breathe very slowly. 6 breaths a minute, 4 breaths a minute, 2 breaths a minute, 1 breath a minute, and get comfortable with that. And you need to be able to breathe high in your chest and low in your belly. And you need to be able to breathe into your heart and breathe through your fingertips. And so developing that ability, you know, just taking the breathing mechanism and just really, you know, strengthening
possibilities, right?
Broadening it, you know, so you're comfortable across the spectrum. Breathe through your nose, through your mouth, high in your chest, slow, fast, subtle, intense. And so all that is the practice of breath control. And in the process of doing that, we bump into all of the emotional and the psychological, psycho-spiritual crap that is in our way. So the breath, as we free up the breathing mechanism, we are brought face to face with whatever limitations we have on all the other levels.
It's almost
until
like,
you cleaned out everything.
I guess like a pipe, and there's gunk in the pipe, and the breath that we breathe in, it's clearing out the gunk. And that, when you say we encounter it, we might encounter this massive chunk which actually nothing can get through at all. And we've got so much breath flowing through water. It's like breath. I almost visualize or experience breath as a liquid, you know, in that way. You know, it's a viscous kind of thing. So we're breathing so much into it to blast through any kind of literal blockage that we have in this pipe, which is our lifeline, really, if we think about it, that pipeline.
Yep. And, you know, there's energy in the breath, so it's not just air. And those clogged pipes, if you relax, the pipes get bigger. And if you're breathing and you're relaxing, then the breath helps clean that. So that's right. That's a very good analogy. We're cleaning our pipes, you know, and expanding our you know, passages and our spaces in us. You know, a big part of breath work for me is using the breath to create space inside of us.
Likewise.
Sense of
unwinding, letting go, loose, opening.
Yeah. And the sense of spaciousness is centered in the heart. And so when you breathe in, you're not just pulling the breath in, you're opening yourself and the breath is pouring in. And that experience is quite ecstatic. Yeah. You know, to have the breath pour into you. Wow, it's a blessing. It's a gift. And everybody...
How good can it get is the question. It's one of the first things you said to me when we were here. How good can it get? Like, how much better? How does it get any better? I love that question. It's just like, there is no roof. It's the concept in there, those martial arts, you know, and in the Qigong, it's like, anytime I'm guiding a breath, it's like breathe in and fill up and feel yourself opening up. And then as you exhale, you're opening up and expanding and unwinding and releasing and letting go even more. And it's like, literally like when you're breathing in and you think about an atom, the old way they represented the atom in school, you know, there's 99.9% space in atoms. So we're mostly space. So we can infinitely fill up this space with this liquid, this energized liquid of life, which is breath, right?
And that's our responsibility. You know, we're responsible for the kind of energy that we generate, the kind of energy we put out into the world. We're responsible for this little bit of space that we take up. And we want that space to be a source of something benevolent, you know, something healing, something uplifting. And so we focus on these kind of intentions when we breathe, and we become a source and a channel for a certain quality of energy, and we can make a difference in the world. We can tip the scales with all the rage and the insanity and the unconsciousness, you know, going on in the world right now. We've got to be doing our part to put some weight on the other side of that scale, you know. And we have Buddhist monks who every day they face the four directions of the compass and they send out peaceful vibrations. We don't know what the world would be like if millions of Buddhists weren't doing that, but I have a feeling it would be a lot worse than it is. And if we did that, if we just generated a heartfelt intention and used our breath and sent out into the world, you know, waves of love, of joy, of peace, of compassion, this works. We can make a difference.
And we can experiment with it too. Like you could try that for ourselves. It's like, that's what I love about having a mind and being able to have an opinion and be like curious about things. It's like, well, I'm a little bit kind of, how would you call is it skeptical? Like, I like to try things before I see it. So like, as optimistic and as, yeah, you know, I'm realistic at the same time, as optimistic as I am. So I'm like, let me see it, let me feel it. I'm like, yeah, I'm all about it if I can feel it for myself. But it makes me really curious. So I'm like, yeah, that sounds great, but I want to put it into practice and see what happens when it does, or if it does. So that this is kind of a, you know, an invitation, I guess. Don't believe us. If you're listening to this, go and try this stuff out for yourself.
There's no substitute for an experience. Once you have a felt experience, it's not philosophical, it's not intellectual, it's not theoretical. And so I love being with somebody when their eyes shoot open and they feel like they're plugged into an electric socket and every cell in their body is vibrating and tingling and bubbling and tears are streaming from their eyes and they can't do anything but breathe. It's just too ecstatic. It's just too much. I mean, I love being with people like that. And then they walk away, they kind of float away going, whoa, I thought I knew what energy was. But, so awaken people up to the life force, to our own power, our own energy. I think that's a gift. And if more of us can share that,
I appreciate your time. I know we've got to run, wrap this up, but look forward to connecting further. And yeah, like, you know, thank you so much for all the work you're doing. And I hope this is not the last time we connect. And look forward to doing some work together at some point too. So I always ask people something, I guess, like to leave people with. I know, you know, we've pretty much said it all. We're ready to give a lot of value, but like maybe something to leave people with, maybe a practice or a principle that you'd like that wants to come through right now for the listeners.
Yeah. My breathing mantra these days is open and expand. That's an inhale. Relax and let go. That's an exhale. Exaggerate those two things. Open up, you know, open and expand, pull in more, open and expand, and then relax and let go and melt. And just cycle through that. Use the breath. So open and expand, relax and let go. Open and expand, relax, and something beautiful happened very quickly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dan.
My brother, be well.
I might, if someone doesn't drop out and I'm not there in February, I'll be connecting in online regardless. And if you're ever in Australia, come to Melbourne or come to anywhere, I'm happy to host you and do some stuff together.
Thank you. Yeah, listen, the Jik and Joshua Tree is filled up. The Breath Fest in Cabo, we're just beginning. That's
okay, wonderful.
Yeah, so we're looking for volunteers, we're looking for presenters, we're looking for co-sponsors and hosts. So it's in the creative process.
I know a lot of people got a large network, so definitely be able to help with that.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's leave it there. And thanks for tuning in, guys. And until next time, keep the flow growing, keep the breath flowing, and keep the flow growing, and keep the breath